Hello, everyone, and welcome to the fourth segment of the Broad Podcaster. I'm Jennifer Fierro here in the Highland Lakes with this guy, Art Dlugach, the voice of the Llano Yellow Jackets. Technically, it is still on Friday. I just walked in the door after watching the Marble Falls High School football team take on the Leander Lions at Bible Stadium. Wanted to get everybody caught up on what the Mustangs did tonight. Marble Falls played Leander, like I said, in Bible. They had a controlled portion of the scrimmage, which means that each offense was guaranteed 10 plays. The first string offense was guaranteed 10 plays by each team, which means that the first string defense also had 10 plays, no matter the down or distance. And then the backups took over. They had about 8 plays, and that went on. I think they did about 4 series like that, even got some of the third stringers in. And then they went to 2 running quarters, 2 12-minute quarters or a half, where they actually played what looked like closer to a football game. There was only extra kicks, no punts, and no kickoffs. This scrimmage was interesting because Leander took, in their first 10 plays, they got to the Mustang 1-yard line and Marble Falls stopped them. Did not allow them to score. Marble Falls didn't answer. I did talk to Coach Brian Herman about that. Like I've mentioned before, Herman's whole philosophy is that we're going to play everybody because we want to see them in key spots in specific plays to see how they respond. And neither offense scored in that first 10 plays. Nobody scored in the controlled portion of the scrimmage. Leander got the closest. I think Marble Falls got inside the Leander 5 and couldn't punch it in before they ran out of plays. Now, when the live portion started, Leander got the ball first, and Herman typically calls the plays for the live portion that he knows are going to work. And that's exactly what happened. Leander marched down the field, and they scored on their opening drive with they started on their own 35, so they went 65 yards. Marble Falls came right back and answered and tied the game at 7-7. And then Leander got the ball, and Marble Falls stopped them. I want to say they forced a turnover on downs. And Marble Falls, that's what happened. It was 4th and 2 from the Mustang 35. Leander decided to run the football, got a 4-yard loss on that. Marble Falls took over at their 40, and then they went in. Cole Becker scored the touchdown from about the 1-yard line on 3rd and goal, and they took a 14-7 lead. Leander was driving, and they ended up going for it on 4th down on their own 48. I think they got a 13 or 14-yard slant to keep the drive alive. Marble Falls hit on the next play. Leander fumbled the ball. I want to say the Mustangs hit the ball carrier so hard that he fumbled. The ball rolled about 8 yards. Marble Falls jumped on the ball, rather, and then with about 3 minutes left, they were able to run out the clock. So that's how the scrimmage ended. Marble Falls won that portion 14-7 after a scoreless control portion.
So Marble Falls, Burnett, and Llano all win, and all 3 defenses were quite good.
Yes. Now, I had a chance to talk to Coach Robert Draper, who's the offensive coordinator, offensive line coach. And the theme for the Mustangs throughout training camp the last several weeks is we are trying to find our dudes. So I asked them tonight, did you get any closer to finding your dudes? And they said, we are working on it. Those players are starting to step forward and reveal themselves a little more. Draper was especially happy with Gavin Hernandez. Gavin is one of the guards. Jeremiah Bales, who is the tallest player, probably the strongest player in the program, he lines up at tackle. He was happy with Michael Martilat and happy with Cade Roberts. Cade is the senior leader on that offensive line, and he said that Caden is stepping into that role very nicely and being for that line what they need him to be as a senior?
Well, the scrimmage is over for the teams around here, except tell me about Faith and Smoking for Jesus.
I have not had a chance to talk to Charles Frazier or Stephen Shipley. I will do that on Saturday. I will put calls into both of them and see how they did during their scrimmages tonight. I'm especially interested to hear from Charles Frazier because he had to go travel tonight. They were playing the Austin Royals and Not Your Ordinary School in Round Rock. I'm especially curious to hear what they did in their scrimmage tonight. I know with Faith Academy, they were playing the Fredericksburg, is it Living Rock? Whatever the six-man team in Fredericksburg.
Heritage.
Yes, Heritage. That's the powerhouse. So that's an old rival for Faith Academy. It's a big one for them. I believe that's who they were scrimmaging tonight. And that should have told them plenty about themselves because Heritage is considered a TAPS powerhouse.
We talked about Llano in an earlier segment, but I wanted to mention I talked with or received an email from defensive coordinator Matt Anastasio of the Jackets, and he gave me a couple more names on defense, Hunter Brown and Ulysses Martinez. So I want to get those names in for the defense, which held Brady last night to 0 points. And so that was impressive. And I think Burnett, you said, it gave up just 2 scores in a big win.
Yes, they gave up 2 scores in a big win to Gerald. But you reminded me, I probably need to single out some of the Mustangs on the skill position side. Christian DeBose, Hayden Miller, Cody Smith, who's the quarterback, Jamie Castillo, who did really, really well. Let's see, Joshua, I forget Joshua's last name now. Ruiz, I think it's Joshua Ruiz, who did really well. And, of course, Caleb Vidal, this close, folks. He got to the pylon. He hit the pylon, thought he'd scored. They said no, and that was when Becker's younger brother punched it in from the 1-yard line. Cole Becker scored for the Mustangs there, and that turned out to be the difference in the game. And my nephew, Dominic Fierro, also had a couple of
Be very
good
proud.
carries. Oh, I am. I just hate to single him out because people may say that I'm biased towards him. And his aunt is. Jennifer Fierro, the reporter, is not.
Well, so tonight in Leander, neither team scored in the control scrimmages.
Correct.
Until the 2 live quarters.
Correct. And they played later. The scrimmage was originally supposed to start at 6:15. They changed it because of the weather, and then I think they actually started 15 minutes later than that. So I think they started closer to 7:30. And I'll be curious to see how that goes and what that looks like. One of the big ways that Marble Falls was able to keep the chains moving, they really surprised Leander by completing like almost a 40-yard pass. Really surprised Leander. And they had the ball, the receiver had to wait for the ball to get to him. Now, Leander had enough speed to recover. Marble Falls didn't score on that particular play, but it certainly made the Lions be honest in their defensive coverages for the Mustangs.
Well, with the slot T, I'm assuming that Marble Falls doesn't throw the ball much.
No. In fact, I think Liberty Hill threw the ball more than Marble Falls did last year. It's just not something that Coach Herman really wants to do.
Not bad to get 2, 3, 4 passes on tape for the next team to see the video and maybe be a little concerned that maybe Marble will pull off a pass every once in a while.
Right, and that's exactly why Coach Herman calls them. He wants to put that on film so that the other team will see that, and the other defensive staffs for the other team sees that, so they prepare for it.
Well, speaking of quarterbacks, as we were with the young man who threw the ball for the Mustangs, big news on a starter was named today, and a name you'll know very well, Casey Thompson will be the starting quarterback for the University of Nebraska. So that's a Texas connection. And of course, Jennifer thought I was going in another direction, but since Texas is one of your favorite teams, tell us who the Longhorns have announced will start at QB.
Right now, it's Quinn Ewers, but the way everybody talks, that's on a week-by-week basis. I am a Quinn Ewers fan. I think a lot of Quinn, but I think a lot of him because of his high school coaches. Riley Dodge, who his father, Todd Dodge, says is a much better quarterback whisperer than he is. And I'm going to tell you, in my 30-plus years of being a professional sports reporter, I have never met anybody who is a better quarterback coach in my career than Todd Dodge.
I want to get straight here because I haven't read as much. I just got the message from another Texas fan, my son-in-law, John Crabb, who told me about Quinn Ewers. Are you saying he's the starting quarterback for this week, but maybe not next week?
I don't think that is the way that Sark will approach it, because I think that once you name a starting quarterback, you have to commit to that quarterback regardless.
Certainly would seem that.
But if Quinn throws 4 interceptions in a half, do I think that they'll stick with him? Probably not.
You mean 4 interceptions in the first game and a half, not next week in practice.
Right. In other words, I think that...
I got that.
Yeah, we just don't have the time to get into this. I have a theory. I think that Sark made the announcement when he was not ready to make it because there were some Austin reporters who had been reporting that Hudson Card had won the starting job on Thursday. Like I said, I didn't want to get into this discussion. I don't think that Sark was ready to make that announcement. I believe him when he said on Thursday that he had an idea of who the starter was, but he was going to let them play a little more, compete for the job a little bit longer. I think he was going to name that starter next week officially. That is my opinion. I have not even heard the press conference yet, and I've not read any of the reports.
Well, unofficially, it's Quinn Ewers. But when you wake up tomorrow morning, who knows?
No, I do think it's Quinn, and I think he'll get the starting job, and I think they'll stick with him because Sark will lose credibility if he doesn't. Okay, that is all we have. We're going to let y'all go to bed. I certainly need to get some rest. As always, I'm going to have the story about the Mustangs on TexasChalkTalk.com. And I can't say this enough. Please like, subscribe, and share the channel. It would help us so much if you would do that. For Art Dlugach, I'm Jennifer Fierro. Catch you next time. And next week, we'll be in week 1 of the Texas high school football, and I can't wait for that to happen. We'll see you next week.